Here's Tomlin from after the preseason finale on Saturday at Detroit on the timeline for making a decision on the starting quarterback between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields.
We'll make a decision at the end of our work week this upcoming week. We got 3 days of Steelers versus Steelers work, and why not do it then? It kind of, minimizes the Steelers versus Steelers work when we start making decisions prior to the completion of that. We've got ample time to prepare for Atlanta and make whatever decisions or announcements regarding divisional labor or pecking orders and so forth. And so we'll do it at the end of the work week.
It still feels like it's going to be Russell Wilson. The moment for me was the first drive in Detroit. They were backed up 3rd and 11. It was as loud in that dome as it is for a regular season, big third down when the Lions are playing defense. And Russell Wilson delivered very calmly, resolutely, and accurately a throw to George Pickens for the first down. They finished the drive with a touchdown. Wilson was out of the game after one drive.
That's right.
He's the starter.
That's right. That would be my feel too. Now, again, do I agree with that decision totally? No, I don't, and we'll unpack that. But I got the feel that it's Russell Wilson. And I think the other thing too that we discussed yesterday, that I'm big into context clues, right, is Russell, first drive, you talked about it, throw to George Pickens. The other part that would tell me that he's the starter is George Pickens didn't stay in with Justin Fields the next drive.
Good
so
point.
It's like they took away, hey, you guys are our combo here. We don't want anything to happen to you guys, so you guys go sit over here. And I believe Freiermuth came out too on the second drive. So those two guys, along with Russell, will looked at as like, you're our starting go-to. You're going to, butter our bread right here. So that's enough. Justin Fields, we got some starters out there for you. The O-line starters are out there, but we're not going to give you everything. That, to me, is context clues. Yes, Russell Wilson will be the starter week 1. It seems that way. He did look good, so there's definitely some things to look at there, build on. I'm sure they were a little more aggressive with their game planning, hopefully, and trying to get some positive vibes on the offensive side of the ball. Both guys did pretty good, but it does feel like Russell Wilson's in the leader house, as some would say. Justin
Fields brings a higher level of excitement.
Yes.
And Justin Fields is the guy that there's more of a future with. And I've been saying for months, the Steelers, at some level, should hope that Justin Fields is the guy who's there next year between the two.
I feel like that's what they're trying to do
5,
here.
7, 10 years out of him. But
this is
now,
part of it, I think.
You've got Russell Wilson.
Yes, right.
You throw him into the fray.
Right.
We were talking about this last week, Miles Simmons and I, and it dawned on me, 3 division rivals from the AFC West that Russell Wilson knows well, including the team he played for in the first 6 weeks. They've got the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Raiders. That gives Russell Wilson a built-in advantage. It'd be no different than if it was the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings in the first 6 weeks for Justin Fields. That gives him a little bit of an edge. He's shown what he can do over the years. The fact that Mike Tomlin didn't call Sean Payton to get any intel about Russell Wilson tells me that Tomlin is inclined to just treat the last 2 years as an aberration.
Yeah, right.
And I'll make this guy what he was. We've got the formula to play like we saw him play with Pete Carroll as the head coach. Defense, running game, and Russell Wilson just do a little bit here, do a little bit there, and it'll all work. We don't need a guy that's going to be kind of frenetic, dropping shotgun snaps like we saw on Saturday, regardless of whose fault it is.
Yeah.
Shotgun snap hits Justin Fields, and it's a continuing theme.
Yeah,
they
right. It doesn't matter.
Exchange issues.
You start to blame the general and go, wait, you got to fix it at some point. I don't care if the center keeps messing up. It's on you. You're running the offense, right? That's what happens.
Yeah.
So I hear you there, right? It hasn't been as smooth as a process, even though he's had more snaps and all of that. And I think, your points about Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin, I think Tomlin gave him a blank slate. And I think Tomlin also is going, wait, I don't really care. Sean Payton, I got respect for him, but I'm not trying to play offensive game like Sean Payton. I just want hey, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play defense, and if George Pickens has got a one-on-one, we're going to throw it to him. That, to simplify things a little. Mike Tomlin's not worried about does he have the right check and zebra personnel when we get in bunch right tight, right? He's like, we're not doing all that. We're going to run the play we called and we're going. So that's where I'm sure he trusts Russell Wilson. Russell is definitely a better pure thrower than Justin Fields. My thing that I go is it by enough, and do we think this passing game by enough will make up for what Justin Fields can do in the run game? right? So that's the big thing. But obviously they think so, and it does feel like it's going to be Russell Wilson. And I think, Mike, to your point, what I wanted to get to here, and it took me a minute, is I get the feel that they're setting this up. They want Justin Fields to be the future quarterback too. So, hey, now it's a little bit like we talked about with the Patriots and Drake May. It's, hey, we get out there, Russell Wilson, if he does great, awesome, and Justin Fields gets to sit back here and develop. But, hey, Russell Wilson goes out here, the team's not as good. Justin Fields is a great guy to bring off the bench and spark us and do that. Where I think if he goes vice versa and it goes Fields and they ended up having to bench him for Russell Wilson, then you talk about, is the future with Fields maybe a little murky there. And I think that's maybe part of the long thought process there too in Pittsburgh.
If nothing else, they get a year to evaluate Fields at practice to see if he can improve
exactly
as a thrower.
Some of that stuff.
That throw last week where he threw the ball so high, the guy was shot out of a cannon. It would have been one of the all-time great catches, preseason, regular season, postseason, if the guy who had jumped up to not even get a hand on that ball that was so ridiculously overthrown, I think that becomes almost disqualifying, that you got to be able to hit that guy. NFL level, you got to be able to hit that guy. And we've been big Justin Fields supporters, but at some point,
no, those are the things that's why he's in the position he's in.
A guy who's wide ass open.
That's right. That's why he's in the position he's in. And it goes back to us at the Combine with Eberflus or Ryan Poles, and they basically said he's not good enough when we have to throw the ball. That's what they said to us without trying to say it. Oh, it's a 2-minute drill, and if the team takes away the run, we want a guy that can run. So they're going, he doesn't throw it good enough. That's what they were saying. He's definitely got to get better at that. He had a nice touchdown pass right down the middle. That was a touchdown pass, right? That tight one down the middle this time that was similar to the throw he missed the week before, right? So there's improvements there, and his athletic ability and all that is real. But, yeah, it feels like it's just Russell Wilson's show. That throw right there, that was a damn good throw right there by Justin Fields.
Yeah, and look, he's the guy that could be there for 5, 7, 10 years. So give it time. Give him an opportunity. Can we go back to the pack of plays with Russell Wilson with the throw to George Pickens? Now, his elbow was down, and that set up the 3rd and 11 play that I think cemented the job for Russell Wilson.
The little screen where the elbow was down.
How many times did we say last year, why don't you find ways to get the ball in George Pickens' hands?
Yeah.
So here's Arthur Smith. And what's he got cooking up in the preseason? That little swing pass, that screen. Get the ball in the guy's hands and let him do things. When it was Matt Canada last year, there just was like this resistance and reluctance to showcase George Pickens. And he's clearly the best receiver they have.
Definitely.
In large part because Van Jefferson, I mean, all due respect, but Van Jefferson is the number 2 receiver.
He's really a number 3.
Yeah.
Right.
So
at best.
And this may be a little sign of what's to come, that they're going to get, like, forget it, because at one point I'm like, why are they holding this guy back? This guy has shown flashes that he can be great. Let's fully embrace what we have here, people. Oh, you may have to pay him a lot of money at some point. Well, join the club.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to pay their great receivers good money.
Right.
Go out and get the most out of him. Don't keep that Ferrari parked in the garage. Get out there and drive that thing. And I feel like maybe this year they will.
I think you'll see that this year. I'm with you there. I think that's what Arthur Smith brings to the table as compared to people they've had there in the past. He's going to know how to feature somebody. And then that's where I like both quarterbacks fit with the overall mantra of how the Steelers are going to play. But for Russell Wilson specifically, because we think he's going to start, hey, run the ball, Najee, run the ball. Okay, here's a screen. Oh, we got one-on-one, and we'll let now George Pickens work down the field and act like he's running a post and come back out. And those are the things Russell Wilson's really good at. When he goes, oh, okay, wait. It's just like, hey, I'm going to read him to a guy coming across the field, and I just got to make those throws. Boom, that's good. He's not the best when it's like, oh, no, I got to check to this and check to that and blue 42, and, oh, gosh, I got to go through the reads in a hurry here and be a part of the Sean Payton offense. That's not what he is. When he was in his prime in Seattle, it was like, oh, there's Baldwin going deep. Okay, I'm going to bounce here for a second. Oh, here comes another receiver going at Curses coming across the middle at 25 yards. Now, it wasn't these quick, intricate reads, and I think they'll set the offense up like them. And I think Arthur Smith will be a little more game plan specific in featuring people than the offensive coordinators they've had there in Pittsburgh.
Definitely a low bar.
It is
Arthur
very
Smith.
low.
And people
he's-
got so upset when the Steelers hired Arthur Smith to be the offensive coordinator because he failed as the head coach of the Falcons. Well, folks, he was good enough as the offensive coordinator of the Titans to become a head coach.
Yes.
And that's the Norv Turner, Wade Phillips. I'm sorry to pick on those guys, but that's the lather, rinse, repeat. You do a great job as a coordinator, great enough to become a head coach. Oh, wait a minute. You're not good enough as a head coach.
Yeah.
Go back and be a coordinator. Man, he's a great coordinator. Make him a head coach. Not good enough. Go back and be a coordinator. Some guys thrive in that role.
Yes.
And Smith has already thrived enough with a Titans team that was by no means the greatest show on turf. He still got a lot out of it.
Went to the AFC Championship game. Was a number 1 seed with people that I'd go, if we just pulled Johnny off the street right now, I'd go, hey, that Titans team that was in the AFC Championship game or the 1 seed and they, choked it off against the Bengals. Tell me a receiver on their team. Tell me somebody on their offense not named Ryan Tannehill or Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Oh, and they were still pretty good and moved the ball and did that. And we know he's got offensive line background. And, of course, that's very key to Pittsburgh as well because even as we saw here the other day against Detroit and the backups of Detroit, offensive line play, it still seems like it's going to be a little more of an issue than I thought it would be in Pittsburgh. The first game, I went, okay, it's not great, but it's the first game. But here we are 3 games in a row, and I still go, ugh. It doesn't quite look as good as I thought it would look. We'll see where it goes. And again, we know things are going to change and be a little more game plan specific as we get into regular season game planning altogether.
Oh, and I assume they're hearing about it constantly from Mike Tomlin. Constantly. He made it clear after the preseason game against the Bills that the pass protection wasn't good enough, and we've already addressed that. I mean, can you imagine having Tomlin up your butt? And so you're either getting better or you're getting the hell out. You're tapping out. No more of this for me because he knows how to get the best out of people, and he'll work on getting the best out of his guys. And that's the other side of this, too. We know the Steelers will get better as the season goes along.
That's right.
They do. That's what happens. That's what Tomlin does. He takes that collection of guys that has, 33% turnover every year in the modern NFL, and by the time we get past Halloween, he's crafted them into something better. And that's the natural breaking point here if it's not working with Russell Wilson. They've got the Sunday night game week 5 against the Cowboys.
Yep.
2 weeks later, Sunday night game against the Jets. Monday night game against your Giants, and then their bye week.
Right.
And that would be the point. 8 games in. If you're 3-5, 2-6, let's see what Justin Fields can do.
Yeah.
If you're 4-4 or better, we got our guy for the rest of the year.
Because
then the meat grinder comes. They get the division rivals late in the year. And any Steelers fans out there is still pissed about that. You want those teams late. You don't want them early. Between Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, one of those guys is going to be injured, history tells us, by the time you're facing those teams. And your team's going to be better. You don't want Bengals, Ravens, Browns right out of the gates. You want to defer them as long as you can. So it astounds me that Steelers fans are upset about that. You should be happy you get to wait until like week 11 or 12 before you even start into the division schedule. Don't you? Isn't that obvious?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. With those teams right there, and they're in the unfortunate situation where it's the best division of football. There's no good time to play those group of teams, but I'm with you. I still, if I'm Pittsburgh in the style you play, yeah, I'd rather play them a little later in the year when we get a little more feel of tendencies and it's, hey, we're the physical team. The season's starting to wear you out, and this is when we're Steelers and we kind of thrive. I understand your point there.
Man,
I do.
The last 7 weeks of the season, week 11, oh my God. Ravens at Browns, at Bengals, Browns, at Eagles, at Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals.
Oh my gosh.
Good luck.
That's incredible.
So, and, now you're building the house, you're laying the foundation, and you hope that when you get to that gauntlet at the end of the year. I mean, I'd rather have it later than earlier because with Tomlin, the Steelers are going to be better later than they are early.
Well, yeah, I think so. And, I think with the Russell Wilson and what we're talking about here, hey, Russell Wilson, you can say what you want. It hasn't been great the last 2 years. I think it was better than what people give him credit for last year. We know the Nathaniel Hackett situation was messed up in a lot of ways, okay? But has been to 2 Super Bowls. We've seen him play MVP level type football. So you got to say that. And I think the thing where I'm, again, maybe I would have favored Justin Fields, but I understand them not. And he certainly has some things to work on. And there was the fumbled snaps and all that. I mean, the Steelers play a style of football that Russell Wilson grew up in. He's going, wait, this is Legion of Boom. You guys are just wearing black and yellow. It's about the defense, and it's all the same type of mindset. So I think that's where Mike Tomlin probably feels good with Russell Wilson, a quarterback, too, knowing, hey, you know how we're going to play, and you know I don't want you forcing the ball down the middle into tight coverage. Pete Carroll used to tell you that. Just take the sack, check it down, whatever, and we'll give it to Najee in the next play and figure it out from there. And I think that's where, Mike Tomlin probably favors Russell Wilson as well.
Okay, you have a chance to win $1 million in the NBC sweepstakes on Yahoo Fantasy. Just download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.